Inspiring, intense, exhilarating. These are some of the words used to describe football by Americans across the country. Others describe it as injurious and even traumatic. Hello, and welcome to all medical staff from the National Football League. My name is Leanne Jones, and I am an athlete and a scientist who has dedicated my career to researching and developing a quantitative tool for diagnosing and evaluating brain injuries. A tool that may not dispel all negative public opinion about football, but that will protect the players we all love by decreasing recurring brain injuries in athletes. In the last 2 decades or so, there's been a campaign to increase awareness of brain injuries, led largely by the NFL. So I think all of us here know why concussions are bad for athletes. Beyond requiring the player to sit out of games, concussions cause cognitive deficits. So typical concussion protocol is, when in doubt, sit them out. With proper rest and treatment, these deficits can be temporary and resolved in a short time span. About 80 to 90% of concussions are healed in 7 to 10 days. However, the internal biochemical changes associated with a concussion in the brain can still remain even when symptoms disappear. Current concussion diagnosis tools, such as computerized neurocognitive tests and physical exams, rely on patient-reported symptoms and subjective medical assessment. As you know, neurocognitive tests require an athlete to take a baseline test at the beginning of the season and then reperform the test when the athlete suffers a blow to the head to diagnose a concussion. Dr. Dodick, a neurologist at the Mayo Clinic, explains that even in the best of circumstances, when a trained healthcare professional is examining an athlete, he or she may interpret a test differently than the person who performs the baseline examination. In a study performed in 2014 with a population of 200 healthy and concussed male professional athletes, 17% of the concussed athletes were misdiagnosed by the COG Sport neurocognitive test. I was a collegiate varsity athlete and I loved my sport, just like your athletes love football. In a game, I experienced a head trauma. As I went in for a shot, a defender knocked me down and I banged my head. I was taken out of the game, had 7 days of rest. I passed the cognitive test required for school protocols, and I returned to play. I felt a little sluggish, but I thought it was because I hadn't been exercising at my normal pace for a week. I returned to practice and started having blurry vision and dizziness. Bottom line, I still had a concussion, and I was lucky it was identified in practice before starting any contact drills. Other student athletes are not so lucky. Torin Moranik was a rising senior and star wide receiver of Bear River High School in 2016. In practice one day, he suffered a blow from one of the safeties when he was tackled to the ground after a catch. He was assessed for concussion and returned to play in an important game against the school's rival. He made a diving touchdown catch and landed on his head. He was in a coma for months recovering, and while he thankfully survived, he is still dealing with the cognitive effects of his injury. Torin experienced something called second impact syndrome, which results from a person sustaining a second brain injury before the first one is healed. The symptoms are even more severe than the first concussion, and this second injury can lead to severe disability or even death. Given the detrimental effects of second impact syndrome and the uncertainty of current concussion evaluation tools, a more accurate tool is needed to quantitatively assess a brain injury. So my team created the microscopic rapid neurological assessment, mRNA. We take a saliva sample from the concussed athlete and isolate the micro-ribonucleic acids. These are very small molecules in the body that are critical to neurological function. About 70% of these molecules in your body are actually in the central nervous system, which includes the brain. So when a brain injury occurs, the level of these molecules change. In our service, you will swab your injured athlete's mouth, send the sample to one of our testing facilities, and we will sequence the sample, analyze the results, and provide a quantitative assessment report to conclude whether the player is concussed for just $39.99 per sample. After the meeting, please feel free to connect with our Chief R&D Officer, Joe Smith, with any questions about our technology. Our service has been audited and was approved by the Federal Food and Drug Administration in 2020. We currently provide our service to 10 Division I collegiate athletics programs, including schools with major football programs like The Ohio State University and the University of Georgia. The reason these athletic programs chose to invest in our product is because they want to make decisions about the health and safety of their student athletes with confidence. And our product provides a level of certainty in concussion assessments that is unobtainable with the other tools on the market, as there is no other biological tool on the market to diagnose and evaluate concussions. While current concussion tools are able to be conducted anywhere at any time, we are working to increase the speed in which we can deliver results. We currently have 15 facilities across the country, but we plan to expand to the 30 most populous US cities by 2030. Additionally, right now, we guarantee the result of any test will be returned within 3 days of sample receipt. We aim to decrease that time to 2 days by 2030 as well. In 2011, Peyton Manning famously said in an interview that he understands the seriousness of concussions. Well, Peyton made good on that statement as he is an endorser of our mRNA product, along with a handful of other professional athletes who understand the importance of protecting our brains. Thank you everyone for your time. Please feel free to reach out to me or my team directly with any requests or questions.